What's going on, traders? John with Tactical Trading here with a short video about a strategy that I like to use, and I think this strategy will help you guys out in your day trading, especially for beginners. What I like to call this strategy is the dip and rip. Typically what I'm looking for is a stock that is ripping up in the morning, and it's ripping up on news. This stock has to have a catalyst. Typically also what I look for is that the stock is in a strong sector, so it has micro and macro positives. The micro positive being the strong news that has come out in the morning, and then the macro being that it's in a strong sector. Also what I'm looking for is the stock to have a lower float, and I'm looking for the which is not necessary in this pattern, but I do like to look for this in this particular pattern, and which the two examples that I'll be showing you from Friday both have relatively lower float. One has about 30 million float, and one I believe has under 10 million float. So both are low float, both had decent news. One was in a strong sector, one is not really in a strong sector, but this pattern actually played out. So what I look for is this: a stock to rip up in the morning, and then it comes back down after the highs of the morning and holds VWAP for the remainder of the day. Now, if you don't know what VWAP is, it's volume weighted average price. Volume weighted average price. Easier to said than done. So it's volume weighted average price, VWAP. You can put this up on just about any chart that you have. If you're using like TD Ameritrade or Thinkorswim, you can put VWAP on your charts. And you want this stock to hug or hold VWAP for the remainder of the day. I would suggest you do some homework on VWAP and learn what VWAP is and understand VWAP. So as the stock holds VWAP, later in the day you look for more volume to come in, and you look for the stock to start spiking a little bit. Once this stock breaks or comes near the high of the day, the high of the day from earlier in the day, you buy this stock. And when you buy the stock, typically what happens with these is they spike. Now, the reason I like this is because when I started trading, I traded under the PDT rule, and in doing so, I never wanted to waste my day trades, because one of my main rules is cut losses quickly. And if you're cutting losses quickly, a lot of times, because you're not perfect as a trader, you're going to burn some of these day trades as far as cutting losses. So you're not going to have them just to trade willy-nilly, unless you have 25,000 in your account or you're using an offshore broker like CMEG or something of that nature. So I'm just going to spit out the criteria for this, and then I'm going to show you a couple of examples. And this is the perfect setup for under the PDT rule, called the dip and rip. So a stock that is spiked earlier in the day, it has high relative volume, has a good news or a good catalyst, it is in a strong sector. That's something I prefer, and also with low float is something I prefer. But it doesn't have to have that as under this criteria. The main thing is this thing is spiked and it held VWAP for the remainder of the day. Now, when you wait for the stock to break above the high of the day, and I'll show you in the two examples, and you can either hold the stock overnight, or you can sell it. If it completely rips, you can hold it for later in the day and sell it later in the day. But I typically like to hold these overnight, so I'm not wasting a day trade. Now, the first stock I'm going to show you is ASNA. As you can see, this stock broke up in the morning, had a nice run earlier in the morning, hit its highs around 10:30 a.m. is where you can see the cross section is. And as this stock hit its highs, it dipped. And as it dipped, this stock held VWAP through the remainder of the day, and then later in the day, right about here, this stock actually broke the highs of the day. And as you can see, this stock actually ripped up for the remainder of the day, and it did pull back on the close. Now, I bought this stock as it was approaching the highs of the day at 116. And then I ended up proceeding to sell the stock at 142. It hit a high of 145 in the first red candle I sold on this stock. The next stock is CHFS. As you can see where the crossbars are on this trade, this stock had a nice run in the morning, proceeded to hit a high of 76.5 cents, pulled back throughout the entire day holding VWAP. And then where you can see the volume coming in close to about 2 p.m., this stock ended up spiking and holding its highs throughout the remainder of the day. Now, CHFS is a stock that I actually held overnight, and I'll be holding it into the weekend. So the first one, this stock had a huge spike. I ended up buying it right about $1 because it broke. It went up from about 80 cents to $1. I anticipated that it was going to break the highs of day. Typically, if you're a newer trader, you don't want to do that, but I saw the momentum, and this stock had very low float, and news came out at 2 p.m., so I just had in my heart of hearts, I knew that this thing was going to break the high of days. So I bought this around $1, sold it right around $1.42 after hitting it highs of $1.45. CHFS, I held over the weekend because after it broke that 76.5, it spiked up to 85 cents, pulled back, and held between 80 cents and 83 cents for the remainder of the day. So as you can see, this is a perfect pattern for people under the PDT rule. For newer traders, you don't want to get involved in the morning. The morning's too volatile. There's too much action going on. And if you're not used to trading, all you're going to do is make mistakes in the morning. I don't think you should be trading pre-market as well too, unless you're a more experienced trader. So really, that's all I got for you, the dip and rip. Take a look at this video, watch it a few times, see if you can pick up what this pattern is and how to use this pattern, because this is a heck of a pattern for guys under the PDT rule. Let's get that money, traders. And just as a reminder, like, share, and subscribe. And look out for tomorrow for my weekly watch list video. Thanks for watching. You guys have a good night.